no! What's up my cool dudes, I'm Dylan Dude and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile. Today I will be profiling my Sylvan deck. So if you guys are hyped, we'll just get started straight away. Don't waste any more of your time. I run 3 copies of the Sylvan Hermitree. With Hermitree, actually with all Sylvans in fact, they have an effect that activates when they are excavated. And when Hermitree is excavated, I can look at the top 3 cards of my deck, place them on the top of my deck in any order, basically allowing me to see if I've got any Sylvans coming up and set them up so after Hermitree is excavated, I can check my top 3 cards of my deck, see what Sylvans are coming up, and then arrange it in the order I want my Sylvans to come out. Because when a plant's monsters excavate, it gets sent. Actually, in this deck, if a plant monster gets excavated, it sends it to the graveyard, and then all Sylvans are plant monsters, and they all have effects when they're excavated, so those effects will go off. And what Hermitree's other ability is, once per turn, I can excavate the top card of my deck. If it is a plant type monster, I send it to the graveyard and draw 1 card. Otherwise, place it on the bottom of my deck. So, it's an excavate and a +1 in the same effect, as long as I do excavate a plant type monster. Next up, I run 3 copies of the Sylvan Sagequoia. With Sagequoia, if a Sylvan monster is sent to the graveyard, except during the damage step, I can special summon this guy from my hand. And once per turn, I can excavate the top card of my deck. If it's a plant type monster sent to the graveyard, I always place it on the bottom of the deck. I'm going to keep saying that because some Sylvans do have slight changes in their effects where they do more stuff. What they do, actually, you can excavate multiple cards. You can. It's just some Sylvans do have bonus effects that go off when you excavate something, though a majority of them do not. And if Sagequoia himself is excavated, I can target 1 Sylvan spell or trap in my graveyard and add it to my hand. So say I lose Sylvan Charity or Mount Sylvania, I can add them back via the Sagequoia getting excavated. Next up, I run 2 copies of the Sylvan Marshalleaf. When Marshalleaf is normal summoned, I can choose 1 or 2, excavate that many cards from my deck, and send any plant monsters to the graveyard, and place the others on the bottom of my deck. And if it's excavated, I can target 1 monster on my field and on the field, not my field, and destroy it. Just getting rid of my opponent's problematic monsters is really good. Really, I can get rid of my opponent's problematic monsters and go off on even more plays because I won't have to worry about beating over them. Next up, I run 2 Sylvan Kumoshroomo. When Kumoshroomo is flipped face up, I can choose a number from 1 to 5, excavate that many cards from the top of my deck, send any plant type monsters to the graveyard, then place the others on the bottom of my deck in any order. And if this guy here is excavated, he destroys 1 spell and trap on the field. It's really just back row clearance. In my original build of the deck, I ran 3 Kumoshroomo, 3 Marshalleaf. But it kept clogging, so I dropped it down to 2, and it works so much better. Next up, I run 2 copies of the Sylvan Princessprout. With Princessprout, I can tribute this card to excavate the top card of my deck. If it is a plant type monster, send it to grave. Then I can place 1 Sprout monster from my graveyard on top of my deck. So I can tribute this, excavate the top card of my deck. If it's a plant, send it to the grave. Then I can put Princessprout on top of my deck and hopefully excavate that to get its upper effector, which is if it's excavated, I can declare a level from 1 to 8, special summon this card from my grave, and this card will become that level. So with this, it allows for me to mix and match levels for synchro and exceeds plays, which really does help the deck in terms of support. Extra deck's really not necessary in this deck, but it does help far more. It does really help. Two Sylvan Peaskeeper. I also run two of this. With Peaskeeper, when it's summoned, I can excavate the top card of my deck. If it's a plant type monster, send it to the grave. Otherwise, place it on the bottom of my deck. And if it's excavate, I can target a level 4 or below plant type monster in my graveyard and special summon. So I can get back a Princessprout, I can get back Lonefire Blossom, I can get back Copy Plant, Spore, really whatever I need to go off on plays. Next Sylvan I run is 2 copies of the Sylvan Flowerknight. Now I haven't seen many people run this guy, and honestly I would, if I had a glow up bulb, I'd easily cut him down to 1 myself, but I can't afford a glow up bulb. They're like $7 for 1 card. Anyway, when Flowerknight is normal summoned, I can excavate the top of my card off my deck. If it's a plant, send it to the grave, otherwise place it on the bottom. When this card is excavated, I can choose a Sylvan card and place it on top of my deck. So if I can't excavate anymore, I'll probably pick Sylvan Charity or something so I can get some draws next turn. Or if I can excavate, I'll get something like Hermitree, Sagequoia, even Kumoshroomo. Really whatever I need for that exact situation. And that's it for Sylvan monsters. I'll move on to the other plant monsters I play. Well, actually, they're not all plants. I run 3 copies of Lonefire Blossom. This card searches out any plant monster in the deck. Anything you need, Lonefire can provide. I'm only running, two non-plant monsters. So Lonefire pretty much gives you free access to anything. It's a must-have at free. Okay, let's see. Next up, I run 2 copies of Rose Paladin. With Rose Paladin, when it destroys an opponent's monster by battle, I contribute this card to special summon 1 plant monster from my deck in defense position. And also, once per turn, I can send this guy from my hand to the graveyard to add a level 7 or higher plant type monster from my deck to my hand. It's just a way to search out Sagequoia and Hermitree. It's just an easier way just to search out your big hitters, Sage, Hermie. Really, whichever one of those you need for a future play. Next up, I run 2 copies of Rose Lover. With Rose Lover, during either place turn... Oh no, that's the next card. I can banish this card from my grave to special summon 1 plant type monster from my hand, and if I do, it is unaffected by my opponent's trap card effects for the rest of the turn, which is just so amazing. How many traps I can dodge by using this card, and I have there's a couple of ways you can get to grave. Let it destroy by battle, use it for an Xyz synchro summon. Hell, even just send it to grave with Foolish Burial. It's really easy to get this card in the graveyard. Next up, I run 1 Rose Archer. If I had another one, if I had that and Glow Ball, Flowerknight would easily be out of this deck completely. Because Rose Lover, I can banish this I said Rose Lover again. With Rose Archer, during either play's turn, when my opponent activates a trap while I control a plant monster, I can send this card from my hand to the graveyard to negate the activation and destroy. Doesn't work on counter traps like Solemn Strike, Solemn Warning, but pretty much it really shuts down your opponent, especially if they were really shuts down your opponent if they were banking on a trap to try and get them out of a situation. And that's it for monsters. I'll move. Oh no, it isn't. I run 1 copy plant because once per turn I can target 1 face-up plant monster on the field to have this card's level become the same. It's just a way to mix and match levels. If I mix and match levels to go off on Synchro and Xyz plays, and it's a more than once a duel thing, unlike Spore, so it just does help mix and match. Speaking of Spore, I also run 1 of him. When it's Spore's in grave, I can banish 1 other plant in my graveyard, special summon this guy from my graveyard, and increase this card's level by the level of the banished monster. So just as same with Copy Plan, it just allows me to mix and match levels to go off on even more plays. That's it for monsters. I will move on to spells. I run 3 copies of the Sylvan Charity. With Charity, I can draw 3 cards, then reveal 2 cards from my hand, including at least 1 Sylvan card, and place them on top of my deck in any order. Otherwise, I have to reveal my entire hand and place it on top of my deck. It is really not good. It's really not good. You never want to do that. You always are banking on having a Sylvan card in your hand for that. Next up, 1 copy of Mount Sylvania. In my original build, I was running 2, but 1's just a lot more consistent. And you can get back with Sagequoia, so having 2 is just too cloggy, and you have ways to recycle, so 1 is definitely the perfect number. Once per turn, I can send 1 plant type monster from my hand or field to the graveyard to place 1 Sylvan card from my deck on top of my deck. So it's just like Flowerknight. It is stacking your deck, so it's kind of stacking your deck, but it's a legal way of doing it, so you can get anything you need. You can put Spore in the graveyard, you can put Rose Lover in your graveyard to special summon your higher guy, or you could just go with Sylvan, or you can just get Sylvan to get their excavate ability off. Oh, it's got another effect too. How did that dodge them? During my opponent's end phase, I can excavate the top card on my deck. If it is a plant type monster, send to grave. Otherwise, place it on the top or bottom of my deck. So it just lets me look at my next card. If it's plant, it goes to grave. No big deal. It'll be good there. It'll most likely be live there. If it's not, I can choose what if I want it on top of or bottom of my deck, which can really speed up or slow down the deck depending on which choice you make. Next up, I run 3 copies of the Miracle Fertiliser. With Miracle Fertiliser, this is a staple at 3 in any plant-based deck. Once per turn, I can target 1 plant type monster in my graveyard special summon, but I cannot normal summon or set the turn I activate this effect. And if a monster special summoned by this effect leaves the field, destroy this card. So it's pretty much your Monster Reborn / Call It Haunted for Sylvans, for any plant-based deck. So it really does do wonders for you. Next up, I run 2 MST just for further back row hate. 1 Foolish Burial just to get resources to the grave, like Spore, Rose Lover, really whatever I need to go off on further plays. 1 Soul Charge, because getting stuff back from the graveyard can lead on to further plays, and there are some pretty big hitters that are quite difficult to get over in the deck that you can make. You can't have your battle phase though, and you lose 1,000 life points for each monster you summon. But in a deck like this, it is well worth the cost. Next up, for traps, I only run 3. I run 2 Threatening Roar, because protecting your Sylvans is extremely important. It will save you games, especially on the turn you use Soul Charge. You use Soul Charge to get everything back you need, and then you use Threatening Roar to make sure that they can't, unless they destroy your Sylvans by card effect, that you can go off on your plays next turn. Which is so that's just for bird protection. And then I also run 1 Solemn Warning, no explanation needed. It is a staple. That is main. I do run a 40 card main deck, but I do run 15 card extra deck, so let's move on to it. I run 2 Alsei, the Sylvan High Protector. Once per turn, I can declare 1 card name, excavate the top card of my deck. If it is the declared card name, I can add it to my hand. Otherwise, I can send it to grave. It is just really good, because with Flowerknight or even Orea, I can set up my deck so I know exactly what I'm getting next. So if I don't need it in my hand and it's in Sylvan that's on top of my deck, I can just say the wrong name, get that sent to the grave, get that monster's effect off. and then I can do further plays. Alsei has another effect where if a card is sent to the graveyard, I can... Wait, it's from deck to grave, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's deck to grave. I did not write that down on my notes. I'm stupid. Yes, I do use notes now. Thank you to everyone in the comment section who did point out that I should start doing that. If a card is sent to grave, I can detach 1x from deck to grave. I can detach 1x's material, target one card on the field, and place it on either the top or bottom of the deck. Just getting rid of my opponent's problem back row, problem monsters. Really just getting rid of anything that could slow me down or cost me the game. One Orea, the Sylvan High Protector. Once per turn, I can send one plant type monster from my hand or field to look at cards on my opponent from the top of my deck equal to that monster's level. To the level of the monster I sent to the grave. And once per turn, I can detach an Xyz material from this card, choose a number between 1 and 3, and excavate that number of cards. I'll send any plant type monsters to the graveyard and return up to the number of the excavated plants to the hand, and then any of the other cards that were excavated I place on the bottom of my deck in any order. So with Alsei, I can send a plant monster to look at the cards on top of my deck. If I need to, then I can use Alsei to search out whichever one. If I need one of them, I can use Alsei, search it out, get it back, get it to my hand, and then I can excavate and then go off with Alsei's other effect to return something. Okay, for other Xyz I play, I run one Ghostrick Dullahan, because there have been times where I've ended up with level 1s on the field and have not been able to do anything. That's why Dullahan's here. I was originally running Mecha Fan and Beast Striker Sack, but I'm loving running Dullahan. It just saves. You can detach the half an opponent's monster's attack. One number 11 Big Eye and Flare Metal. They're just generic rank. They're just generic staple rank 7s. There's no reason why you don't run them. For an extra rank 8, I run one number 23 Lancelot, Dark Knight of the Underworld. I don't have a number 38, otherwise that would be going in here easily. Next up I run, for Synchros I run, for level 4s, Hastorr and Armory Arm. Ancient Fairy Dragon, Black Rose Dragon, Thought Ruler Archfiend, Crimson Blader, Leo Keeper of the Sacred Trees, and Star Eater. They're just, I rarely synchro summon with this deck, but they're just to make sure I can actually go off plays. Black Rose's effect has a secondary effect, can help, and it is live in the deck, so. But everyone, I just use it for a tactical nuke when you need it, because let's face it, who doesn't love a nuclear strike? Okay guys, this is the end of the deck profile. If you guys enjoyed this video, could you please show your appreciation by smashing that like button down below, and I'll catch you guys next time.